Today I have a very special book to recommend. I actually met the author of this book in Washington last week, and I was surprised, didn't quite make the connection until much later that he wrote this book that I read 2 or 3 years ago. So The Long Space Age really talks about the early days of space exploration, which wasn't the rockets and the mission to the moon. In his view, he says, well, it started with telescopes, right? Modern telescopes. And he basically lays out the early histories in the 1900s where those big telescopes were being built. And it was a race of who has the bigger one, which city, which university has the bigger telescopes. And interestingly, who funded those? It's not the case that it's always government or an academic institution. It was sometimes billionaires, or in that case, I guess there were still millionaires, but very rich people invested in space early on. So part of what the author is saying here is, well, today isn't the first time that the billionaires are taking over, and it seems like governments are, no longer in charge. No, actually, the early days of space explorations with those telescopes was very similar. Also, there's a few chapters in the book about the early rocket pioneers. Goddard is a very famous figure in rocketry. Also, where he got his money is also quite interesting. So anyway, this is a little bit of an historic one, The Long Space Age by Alexander McDonald. Like I said, I met him recently. He showed me the NASA headquarters in Washington, actually. And it was really nice to, get reminded that I read his work so long ago. Highly recommended. Check it out, The Long Space Age.